Hello and welcome everybody to today's video. Welcome to the Vee Academy. My name is Crumbrion, Professor Crumbrion, if you would. And today we're going to be taking a look at a wonderful game that we played on Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, and be happy to get your reactions to it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. If you want to follow me and watch games in real time, check me out on twitch.tv/Crumbrion. For now, let's go check out the game. Thanks for watching.
3, 2, 1, go!
So, just giving a bit of a deck profile for this here. Let's take a look at it real quick. So the way that I looked at building Gardevoir post rotation. Now this does not include Lily's Clefairy, which it should be including Lily's Clefairy. I'm on the fence on if I want to drop down to 1 Kirlia or keep it at 2 and cut something else, but Lily's Clefairy will be making its way into this deck because I think that is a pretty powerful deck to just not include, or pretty powerful card to not include in this deck. So it doesn't necessarily need it per se, but it does like make quick work of matchups like Dragapult and Raging Bolt if played at the correct time. This is where it's very important to remember. You don't want to just bench Lily's Clefairy at the start of the game against those decks because it will just immediately explode, and that's 2 prizes gone. You want to be very careful when you play it, just like when you play Mew in this list. You want to be very careful when you play it. The one of Budew, it's great to start. It's a nice pivot point because there are times, less so that you're able to have access to energy, but also because we're not looking at wasting turns with TM Evo. We're looking at slowing down our opponent a little bit. We're looking at setting up our Gardevoir relatively quickly here, but also having a pivot like Budew that is it's a functional pivot that does damage, item locks, and has a free retreat cost. Means you don't necessarily get stuck in the active with it if you don't have energy. It's not a Pokemon that is psychic, so you cannot turbo to it. So that it not having a retreat cost is very important, because previously cards like Radiant Greninja and Manaphy were common targets to get gusted up and stuck into the active where you cannot do anything with them. So Budew being in the active is not bad because you can item lock them. Budew can also retreat for free, and it's just a sacrificial lamb at some points in the game as well. Obvious matchups you don't want to put them into. You don't want to put them against Pokemon that can just instantly knock them out. Bravery Charm is actually kind of goated here because Bravery Charming a Budew is not actually a bad move. Not a bad move in this deck. Giving it that 80 HP gives it the strength of a very powerful basic Pokemon that still can be looked for with Buddy Poffin. So consider it. Consider using Bravery Charm on Budew to give yourself like an extra turn or two, get damage on board. Obviously in decks that run Pikachu and stuff like that, that 10 damage does actually matter. HP, bringing it down to 190 gets it within Gardevoir range, which means if you can turbo Gardevoir the following turn, means Gardevoir is swinging for 190 for KOs. Very, very difference maker, huge difference maker in those matchups. So Drifloon, pretty standard fare for Gardevoir. Drifloon able to do quite a bit of damage in this list for a number of reasons. So both Drifloon and Screamtail, they both benefit from the inclusion of Lively Stadium. Now, your opponents do as well, but I'm going to tell you why that doesn't necessarily matter. Lively Stadium gives each basic in play an extra 30 HP. So pairing that with Bravery Charm, Bravery Charm giving an extra 50, you're giving an extra 80 HP to basic Pokemon, which is unparalleled. It's kind of ridiculous. And damage that scales off of damage on your Pokemon is also very, very nice here as well. So with Lively Stadium and Charm, Budew goes from having 80 HP to 110 all of a sudden. Drifloon goes from 70 to 150, which is outrageously strong. Flutter goes to 170. Mew goes to 260. Munkidori goes to 190. Ralts goes to 150. Screamtail goes to 170. Fezandipiti goes to 190. Now, like that's with charm and with stadium, so they're not all gonna have charms, but it does give you an idea of the power levels that you can get those Pokemon up to, which it requires your opponent then to either remove the tool or play Jamming Tower to bump the stadium and the tool. Now, if they play Jamming Tower, if you know a deck list plays Jamming Tower, then you have to play around that, obviously. If they play 1 or 2, you can use your Artazon to bump it, and then play your Lively Stadium to bump the second Jamming Tower, and then you have free reign over that. But if it is a deck that runs basics, you might be like, well, I don't necessarily want to play Lively Stadium into my opponent because that means that they're going to have more HP. It means it's harder for me to knock them out. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret here. Drifloon does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So, at 70 HP, it's doing 180 damage. Now, if you use Lively Stadium to give yourself an extra 30 HP and your opponent an extra 30 HP, you can put 2 more. You can go up to. You can put 1 more energy because it'll be at 100 HP. You can put 1 more energy, which gives you 20 more damage, and then you're at 90 damage. So all of a sudden, you're negating the 30 that your opponent gains, and you're doing an additional 30 damage reach. So if you're 30 damage shy of killing something because it has, say, 200 and... say it has like 190 HP, right? Let's just point that out. It has 190 HP, Drifloon's not killing it with Balloon Blast at 60 damage, right? But you put down a Lively Stadium, Drifloon gets an extra 30 HP, your opponent's basic gets an extra 30 HP, so now they're at 220. You attach another energy to Drifloon, that's the 4th energy to Drifloon, goes to 90 damage. All of a sudden, Drifloon's swinging for 240 damage, and your opponent's at 220 HP. See, there is a good trade-off there for that to happen. Screen Tail requires a bit more work for that to happen, obviously, so it's 20 damage more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So, again, Screen Tail, you would have to attach 2 energies to outpace the gain from Lively Stadium, which is not ideal, obviously. However, the strength for Screen Tail comes in the fact of if you have a Screen Tail Bravery Charmed and you have Lively Stadium in play, Screen Tail's maximum damage then becomes 320 damage because it can take 160 damage before knocking itself out with 170 HP. 160 damage on Screen Tail doubles to 320, which is knocking out immense amounts of things like Pidgeot, for example. If it's not a Terra Pokemon, if there is a Terra Pokemon in the active slot and you're attacking with Scream Tail, you're one-shotting Dragapult. If you have a damaged, if you have Munkidori on the field, then you can put damage on Charizard, and Charizard's in the active slot, you're one-shotting Charizard. And that doesn't take a crazy amount of energy. I mean, it does. It takes 8 energy, which is why this deck runs 8 energy, 8 psychic energy, to reach an eye-popping 320 damage with Scream Tail. Between that and Lively Stadium and Bravery Charm. So, again, different. It adds a completely different dynamic to the traditional Gardevoir list that usually just ran more conservative numbers on this list. So Flutter Mane over Klefki, obviously. We want to have Flutter Mane in the active slot, blocking those pesky abilities, blocking the Iron Thorns, obviously, because it's a big counter to Gardevoir. You can't deal with Iron Thorns if you don't have Klefki or Flutter Mane. Flutter Mane, however, because of the Pokemon that we run in this list, we run Mew, we run Munkidori, we run Fezandipiti. So because these are basics as well, Klefki would shut all of these basics down. Which would mean if we have no hand, we can't restart, which means if we have damage on board, we can't Adrenabrain. Means if we got knocked out previous turn, we cannot flip the script. So that would not be ideal. So in most situations, now Klefki was okay in previous Gardevoir because we did not run Mew. Now, a bit more of a spiky situation for these two, Munkidori and Fez. However, going strictly to Flutter Mane clears up a lot of issues. Putting Flutter Mane in the active, shutting down Iron Thorns means that all of it, we can get a breathing room here. Flutter Mane also for easily 3 energies. Now, if you have double Monkey, you can push that 60 damage right back if you're powering it up with Gardevoir. But you just do 90 damage, and you can place separate damage counters wherever you want to on the board, which is an incredibly important ability, or incredibly important effect of this attack. Because Munkidori can push 30 on a single target. Flutter Mane can attack a single target, but Hex Hurl, you do damage to the active Pokemon, and you put 2 damage counters anywhere on the field that you like. So that goes through Terra. You can get 10 damage or 20 damage on something that's a Terra Pokemon. Or, in the situation that we had there, we put 10 damage on Pikachu. We put 10 damage on a different Pokemon to clean up the KO later. Gives you options. Flutter Mane, I think, is the superior choice going into this deck. Now that Mew is almost a staple in Gardevoir. Mew being a staple in Gardevoir means that you have to pivot your Pokemon choices just a little bit, just a teeny bit. So now that we have 2 free retreat Pokemon, we have less chances to discard energy through retreating, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. We can afford to play with a smaller hand. So without Refinement Kirlia means we have to play with a small hand, which then means Mew benefits from that largely, because now Mew can restart, bring us back to 3 cards at any point in time. If we get Iona to 1, we just have 2 more cards, right? Genome Hacking for 3 energies here. We put 60 damage on Mew, which again can be cleared up with Munkidori. The 180 HP is a bit of a barrier, but with Bravery Charm, with Lively Stadium, it was a bit of a breathing room. Mew goes to 230 and 280 respectively. So, or sorry, 230, 260. So with plus 80, so it goes to 260 between Lively Stadium and Bravery Charm. Or if you just have Lively Stadium, it goes to 210, which is a much more palatable number. Gets it out of Dragapult range. If it's Charmed, it's 230, which is out of Dragapult range pretty comfortably. And the nice part is it coming rotation, paired with Lily's Clefairy, which is also another reason why it's really important not to run Klefki. Lily's Clefairy against a deck like Dragapult will all of a sudden turn Genome Hacking into a one-shot monster. Genome Hacking will then do 400 damage to Dragapult, and then 60 damage to the bench. Now, adding a dimension that Gardevoir doesn't necessarily have, large bench damage is not something Gardevoir, or spread damage is not something Gardevoir is known for, outside of running Cresselia. Running Cresselia meant that you could take damage off of your board and have a nice large number to place anywhere on the field that you want to. So if you're fighting into a Dragapult with Genome Hacking, 400 damage, and then you put 60 damage across the board, emulates a little bit of what Cresselia did for the field, but also like Mew as an entire whole gets used completely and very efficiently here. So lovely card to include in this list. I have found nothing but great stuff from Mew. Mew also fits in very well with the supporters that we're running here. So like obviously we know how Gardevoir is great. We know how Fez is great for this deck. So I think Secret Box is the key ace spec to run. I know a lot of people have been running Brilliant Blender, but in every single game that I have played with this list so far, this has felt amazing. Like it has felt like I have not been struggling for energy the entire game. We just need 3 energies to get most of our Pokemon going, to get Gardevoir attacking, to get Mew attacking, eventually to get Flutter Mane attacking. Eventually, when we have Lily's Clefairy, 2 energies on Clefairy gets it attacking. It's phenomenal. Like it's very, very easy to get 3 energy in the discard pile. We have 8 energy in the deck. Secret Box just becomes an avenue to discard more energy, especially if you have Secret Box plus something else like Earthen Vessel, or Secret Box plus Arven. Arven can get Earthen Vessel, which can get energy, which Secret Box can then discard and grab more energy. It synergizes so well with what you're trying to do in Gardevoir, especially considering we're playing a bit more of a turbo list. 2 rare candies gives us the option to get Gardevoir out as quickly as possible, considering there's no benefit to having Kirlias on the bench anymore. So having Kirlia on the bench is great, but not completely necessary. Kirlia can retreat for one energy. It has 90 HP now, so it's a little bit more of a survivable Pokemon now. But really what you want to be doing here is getting Gardevoir out as quickly as you possibly can. Secret Box helps with that immensely. Artazon, staple in the deck, getting Munkidoris down, getting more Ralts down, getting Pokemon that you need down. Potentially running 3 stadiums, running 2 Artazon, 1 Lively is not necessarily out of the realm of a possibility here. Definitely something that could be looked into. Currently, I'm just running 1-1. We'll see how things change with the new format and how things dole out there. Explorer's Guidance is an option that I have placed in. Explorer's Guidance is very interesting for a number of reasons. Most Gardevoir lists are playing straight 3 Professor's Research, 3 to 4 Professor's Research, which I think is fine. It's okay. I don't hate it. The problem being, what do you do when you don't have, and the research is largely to get things in your discard pile. My question would then be, what do you do when you don't have enough energy in your hand, or any energy at all in your hand, but you have research? And say you have, you know, Gardevoir, you have some other pieces, blah, 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 but you need a new hand. Do you play the research and throw away your resources? I mean, that you possibly do. Explorer's Guidance offers you the opportunity to look 6 cards deep into your deck, which research gets you 7. Like, you're discarding the immediate hand and you're drawing 7. So Explorer's Guidance offers you almost as much reach as a research does. You take 2 of them, you put them into your hand, and you discard the remaining cards from your deck. So every single time that I have played Explorer's Guidance, I think bar one time in paper, but every time that I've played Explorer's Guidance, and it wasn't even that bad in paper, because the one time I didn't discard energy was a time I didn't need to. So Explorer's Guidance for myself, online and in paper, I have always discarded at least 1 energy off of Explorer's Guidance, and I've gotten pieces that I need. It's really important to be able to go out and grab something that you need from the top of your deck in this list. Research is good to get rid of things in your immediate hand. Guidance is good to get things that you don't necessarily, that you haven't found yet, that could be in the top of your deck. So that's a good time to play and prioritize Guidance if you have a lot of energy and you're having a difficult time getting energy into the discard and you don't have it in your hand, or a way to search for it with Earthen Vessel before you play something like Secret Box or Research. Then you can almost guarantee, because we run 8 Psychic in the deck, you can almost guarantee that Guidance will at least hit 1 to 2 or 3 Psychic energies, and then you can get rid of that immediately. There was a game that I had recently where I had turn 1, I had Munkidori. That was it. I had Earthen Vessel, 2 Psychics, and a Dark Energy. My turn, and I was going second. My turn came up. I drew Secret Box. I Earthen Vessel a Psychic for 2 more Psychic, Secret Box 3 Psychic for Buddy Poffin, for Arvin, etc., etc. It's like I immediately had 4 Psychic Energy on turn 0 of the game. 4 Psychic Energy in the discard, bench ready to go. With Artazon, bench ready to go. It felt super powerful. It was actually insane. Running the 3 Ionos is pretty standard here. We just have to keep the Ionos. We're also not getting punished for playing Iono late if we're ahead in prizes because of Mew. Mew allows us that opportunity to restart once we play our hand down. We are going to be discarding a lot of cards, so we're going to have a small hand. Mew makes sure that we maintain a degree of hand size. The other addition that I think people might find interesting is Larry's Skill. This is yet another card that discards your entire hand, but instead of just drawing 7 cards and hoping that you get what you need, Larry's Skill allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon, a supporter card, and a basic energy card, and put them into your hand. So if you have, again, a handful of energies, or if you have an earthen vessel or a way to get energy in your hand and you just want to get them in your discard pile that you can't do it, Larry's can do that for you. You can use Larry's to discard your hand. You can grab your Gardevoir, you can grab your Mew. He works incredibly well with Mew because you get rid of your hand, you reduce your hand size to almost nothing. You grab Mew, if you grab an energy, you attach an energy, you don't grab a supporter card, you have no cards in hand, you just restart for 3. So Larry's all of a sudden turns into a, search for 1, 2, or 3 cards, and then turns it into a 6-card hand because now you can get Mew out of it as well. You can get 6 cards out of your deck. Almost as good as what you're getting off of a research, but you're getting exactly the things that you want directly from your deck instead of just hoping they're on the top of your deck. So Larry's also going crazy with Secret Box. Like, it allows you so many different ways to go out and get things that you need at certain aspects in the game. Now, is it difficult to find these things when you need them? To a degree. I mean, you can Arven for Secret Box to follow up a turn with Secret Box and grab Larry's or grab Explorers or grab Research. You can obviously just top deck Secret Box, or you could top deck any of the supporters that you might need. This deck doesn't run Pokegear, so it is a degree of chance to that as well. But this deck has a lot of tutoring. This has a lot of earthen vessels, has a high count of earthen vessels, it has a high count of Ultra Balls. So you have, or like a medium count of Ultra Balls. You have the ability to look and search for things generally at any point in time during the game. Turos is great if you have if you have the Kirlia on the bench, or you have Rare Candy. Get the second Gardevoir out, remove the damaged Gardevoir if it's too damaged from play, etc., etc. This one's running TM Evolution. I'm on the fence on if I want this to be a third Bravery Charm. This could easily just be a third Bravery Charm. TM Evo is also incredibly powerful, obviously, into item lock, so might be just a personal preference thing, but I'm currently sitting at 3 Dark, 8 Psychic Energy. The 8 Psychic, obviously, to take advantage of Screamtail's immense amount of damage that it can do, getting to 160 damage. Doubling that for 320 damage is actually game-changing in some matchups. That would one-shot that would likely one-shot an Arcaludon on the bench if you have Munkidori. Munkidori could reach 330. Arcaludon's cooked on the bench with a maximum damage Screamtail swinging around, and that would make it very difficult to deal with. Considering if they gust up Gardevoir, you have Turos. You can Turos the Gardevoir back down. It just, Screamtail is swinging for that much damage. It is extremely, extremely dangerous. So, again, Gardevoir not looking like it's going to be going away anytime soon. It's one of the top performing decks post-rotation in Japan right now. This list is a bit different than the ones you're going to see in Japan. A lot of them just stick with the 3 or 4 researches. Not that there's anything wrong with that, however, I think using cards like Explorer's Guidance and cards like Larry's Skill in this list adds a little bit more of flavor to the deck, adds a little bit more of an intelligence and a little bit more of a skill factor, I would say, because where research is limited in certain things that it can do for you, there are points in the game where a properly played Explorer's Guidance or a properly played Larry's Skill would actually break the game open for you. So having used Explorer's Guidance in paper, I can tell you there's been numerous times that when I've played Explorers, my board's been balanced out. It is stabilized immensely, and it's been an incredibly strong card to go, because sometimes the card you need is the second or third in your deck, and you have no way to reach it. And you just need it in your hand with the pieces you have in your hand. So cannot say enough about the importance of different cards. Obviously, try it out yourself. Obviously, play it to the way that you want to play it and have fun with it. But I do think the degree of how Gardevoir is going to fall off. I think it loses some power with the refinement draw, obviously, but it gains power in many, many different ways now, especially having to play it differently without all these other little crutches and things like that, and other liabilities that you have to put on the board to make the deck, make the engine run properly. This deck feels perfectly fine. This deck feels perfectly fine. I'm not missing Refinement Kirlia literally at all. With the additions of these cards, I think it's going to be a formidable deck to deal with post rotations. Hopefully, you find that that guide a little bit helpful here. A little breakdown on the Gardevoir list, a little bit helpful. Hello, big fan of buses. And if you enjoyed it, you know, be sure to like and subscribe. It's going to go up on YouTube here, so be sure to do all that fun stuff. And yeah, we will catch you on the next video.